Well, politics is one of those worlds where it's just your best friends could be your greatest enemies, and there are at times where you think you're all on the same page, you think you're moving all in the right direction, and then all of a sudden, just out of the side, just bam, something changes, and the ones that you thought were there with you turn out they're not. For our side of the aisle, we have called these people the rhinos, the uniparty, where they're essentially just Democrats. These are the shiny shoe Republicans that talk well, that talk tough when they're in front of a camera, and they post all the things that you want to hear, but then they go to Washington, D.C., and they betray us over and over and over again. And it's taken outsiders like Donald Trump and Elon Musk to try to break up this rhino uniparty and give the federal government back to who it's supposed to belong to, you, the American voters. But the DC see themselves that way, for they see themselves as the elite. They see themselves as your better. They see themselves as high above you, as they are born to rule over you. They are not there to serve you. And as this continues to get exposed from people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk, as they fight back, from the very beginning, this uniparty has tried to divide them and separate them, not because of anything that they did wrong or anything that is right, but just because that they despise you and that they think that it is their right to rule over you. You know, never ever doubt me for a single second on this, because that is exactly how they think. From the time they wake up, for the time to go to bed, that is the only thing that they think about, is how they can have power over your life. See, they think of our Constitution that's behind me, they think of that as an obstacle. I mean, they shouldn't have to explain themselves to you. This is about DEI, and this is about, social justice, and this is about how the Republic of the United States is so bad and evil, can never pay for the blood that's on its hands. And so therefore, these rhino uniparties, the Democrats, they have to go and make things right. And they had believed when they knocked out Donald Trump in 2020 that they had defeated finally the populist leaders from the United States, because this is ultimately what they're scared of. And they're not scared of you, they're not scared of me. What they're scared of is billionaire populists who will actually go into office and do what they said they're going to do. What did Donald Trump run on right from the start? Right, it was fixing our economy, securing our border, deporting illegal immigrants, right, using tariffs to bring manufacturing back to the United States. This is a huge national security issue. But the Democrats and their friends at the Rhino Uniparty, they don't want any of this, because what this does is this takes away their power. Like when they have hundreds of thousands of dollars they make being in Congress, but all of a sudden they're worth tens of millions of dollars, and you're never allowed to know why. Or why they have $5 trillion come into the federal government and then $7 trillion coming out. Yeah, this is the number one reason that Elon Musk joined on to Donald Trump, because he sees this as an existential threat to our country, and Elon is right. And why the Democrats and the left, they try to switch this about separating Donald Trump and Elon Musk and how they're fighting, how they don't share power. That's not what's happening here. As much as they try to lie over and over and over again about these hoaxes, what this is really about is that they're trying to expose what we call the deep state, these unelected bureaucrats who actually run the government. Okay, it's not the members of House, it's not the Senate, it's not the president, it's not who it's supposed to be, the people that you elect to go in and run your government for you. It's actually these unelected, unaccountable DC swamp rats, these beasts from the DC abyss. And if you're sick of these people trying to take your rights and take your freedoms away, take a moment, make sure you're following the show and you repost and help us spread an American first message as we're growing every single day. And I can't thank you enough for your support, as we will fight and we will save our country from the enemy from within. Because as much as we talk about Russia or China or Europe or anywhere else on the outside, the biggest threat to our country are the own traitors that are inside our own country right now. And we will continue to expose them. This is something that Elon Musk got in the middle of. And until you see it, right, until you see these swamp creatures and how far they will go and what they'll say and what they will do, it's really hard to believe. it's like if you see someone, another person says, hey, you know what, this person's crazy. And you think, well, no, they look normal. There's no way, right? Until you actually interact with them, you go, holy crap, right? Have you ever experienced that? This is the same kind of thing that happens with deep state. And this is why for a very long time, I think, it was hard for people to believe that there even was a deep state. And then when people started to believe there was a deep state, well, yeah, there's unelected bureaucrats. They can't really have that much power, right? Or that people kept thinking, well, we'll elect our officials into office, and these officials would go and represent us, and then they do absolutely nothing that they said they were going to do over and over and over again. This is the battle that we're fighting right now. And this is the one where Elon Musk didn't understand how far they would go. It's very understandable, right? Elon Musk is probably the smartest man alive right now. He's basically the Einstein of our generation, right? He has created so much stuff and changed how the way that we live our lives to it's really hard to appreciate in the moment. But when we go back and we look, I think people are going to be truly blown away at his what he's given to our society, and we're now just getting started. But the Democrats and these uniparties, then why do they want to stand in the way of this? I mean, if this isn't exactly what they would want, I mean, don't they want America to be great? Don't they want America to be exceptional? Don't they want you and your family to have the best life possible? And of course, the obvious answer is no, they do not. Not for a single moment. If you understand nothing about the Democrats, anything else, understand this. All they care about is power. And they can't have billionaire populaces getting in the way of that power. And they have to destroy them if they even try. We go back to 2016. Remember Chuck Schumer when Donald Trump was elected? And what did Chuck Schumer say right from the get-go? Okay, the intelligence agencies, they have 6 ways to Sunday forget you. For a smart businessman, Trump was really dumb to go against them. That was the illusion and the hoax that they tried to sell. Just like fake news was trying to sell the illusion and the hoax that their worldview was actually the popular vote. As there was many out there who think like you do, who are independent thinkers, who love our country, who believe in American exceptionalism. But there was no real way for all of you to come together and realize how many of you there were. As you turn on like MSNBC or CNN, ABC or NBC, any of the others, and they would all sit there and they would all push the exact same talking points for the Democrats every single night. Then you'd think, well, maybe it's me, right? Maybe I'm the one that's on the outside here. When there wasn't. There was millions and millions and millions of you. And it wasn't until Elon Musk purchased X and made it an actual free speech platform that then independent creators like me, your host, Cash Loren, was able to shine a bright red light of truth on the lies and the hoaxes of the Democrats and their friends on the mainstream media. Because make no mistake, they were all working together. The Democrats, these unelected bureaucrats in the deep state, and the fake news, they are all Democrats. It's really amazing that the country is still almost 50-50, even with you have those three plus Hollywood and everyone all working together to take away your rights. Now this brings up to Elon Musk, and I think he saw firsthand what it's actually like when you stare into the beast from the DC abyss. And this caused Elon Musk to lash out. And the mainstream media, if you don't hate them enough, are trying to twist it like they've always done, as they're trying to break up Elon Musk and Donald Trump to harm you, to take away your vote. They don't want DOGE to expose all the fraud, the waste, and the corruption, like Elon Musk has promised to do. And they don't want Donald Trump giving you back your federal government and draining this unelected DC bureaucrat hellhole that we call the beast from the abyss, or the blob, or the deep state, whatever name you want to give them. And then you find out that the mainstream media, not only have they been lying, because I think many of you suspected that, but what they were doing was much, much worse. Is they will go in and they will tell you a story, but they'd only give you the facts that help push the story that they wanted to tell. And then anything else that interfered with that story, they would immediately, right, just ignore it. Or they leave facts out. So if you knew the whole story, you would never come to the conclusion that they wanted you to come to. And this isn't just on the Democrat side. Okay, this is also on the Republican side, as we would call them, shiny shoe Republicans, or rhinos, mean Republicans in name only. But make no mistake, they are Democrats in every single way. And while they might have an R next to their name, and they might claim to be a conservative, they are actually Democrats. So even the neocons is a complete and blatant lie. They have been neoliberals for the past 50 years. Do not doubt me on any of this. If you want to see the swamp, if you want to see the deep state, if you want to see how hard they are working to take away your votes and your rights, you're going to see more now than any other generation has ever seen because of how Donald Trump and Elon Musk are fighting back. Okay, and make no mistake, I don't care what they're trying to tell you and what they're trying to sell now, right from the get-go, as they're trying to sell that there's a fight between Trump and Musk. That is simply blatantly not true. And while they might not agree on everything, that part can be true. What a lot of what they do agree with is that they want to save our country. And Donald Trump is in a very different position than Elon Musk is, because he is actually the president that has to sign all of the bills, and he's not like us, right? Elon Musk is like us. He's on the outside, so he can say basically anything he wants, and he doesn't have to carry the responsibility of getting this bills and the reality of what it takes to get done, because this uniparty hasn't gone anywhere. They've been weakened, they've been bloodied. Yes, that is true, but they're still here. And understand that, like, people like Mike Johnson, he is part of the uniparty swamp. Okay, he is a Democrat, he is a rhino. There is nothing conservative or Republican about our House Speaker. Just like on our House over to the Senate, Thune is running it now, but he is no different either. Okay, they want America to lose. These rhinos want to play second fiddle. And they're trying to twist everything that's happening against Elon Musk and Trump, who are the people in Washington, D.C., who are actually fighting for you. And bringing in people who will fight for you, such like Stephen Miller, who's becoming one of my favorites, or Tom Homan, or you just start naming the names of the people who've come to our side who are actually trying to win and fight for you. And so you have Mike Johnson here in this first clip as he's trying to throw Elon Musk under the bus and protect the Democrats in the Rhino Uniparty.
I talked to President Trump, all the time, multiple times a day. Obviously, we've talked about this. As you know, he's not delighted that Elon did a 180 on that. But look, I don't know what happened in 24 hours. Everybody can draw their own conclusions about that, okay? But I look forward to talking to my friend about it again, and I'm not upset about it, all right? Yeah, Olivia.
Yeah, so there he goes, trying to throw Elon Musk under the bus when it's really him and his friends. And they snuck in all these things, like what is the one thing that you voted for, right? Was the number one thing is the economy, and it starts going down with defunding the federal government. So first you have to identify the ways, which DOGE is doing, and now it's Congress's job to put all these cuts into place. And the honest truth is, they don't even need the Democrats because of this being a recklessation. Apparently, I can't talk tonight. I can't say big words, but that they can't take this bill and they can't just push it through. All they need is 51 senators. That's it. The Democrats, they can run their mouths all they want, but we can drain their swamp without them. And they lie about Medicaid and they lie about Social Security and how all these people are going to lose their benefits. What they don't tell you is some very important key points. Like one, illegal immigrants are on Medicaid. Illegal immigrants are taking your Social Security. They're using your federal tax dollars to pay for hotels, to pay for food, to pay for them to be here in this country. They don't want to tell you how they put all these people on things like Medicaid that do not need it. And to sit at home, watch TV, play video games. I mean, how many people do you know that are like that? Where you look and go, why don't you work? What's wrong with you? Yet they're somehow getting these federal government funding in through the states when really they should be contributing to society. See, that's what this big, beautiful bill is really going after. And yes, I know it's not perfect, and I know it's got some issues, but the difference between Trump and Elon Musk is Trump actually has to sign a document to make it happen. And to do that, somebody like Trump, who understands the art of the deal, he is going to have to make some concessions. So the main thing that he is pushing, right, is that there's no taxes. Then the biggest cut for the middle class in the history of this country. And then the second is finishing this border wall so we can finish deporting all these illegal immigrants out of our country. And that will also save you billions, if not trillions of dollars. See, these are the big battles that Trump is going to lose some small battles. And you have the rhinos like Rand Paul and Johnson pretending that they care about this debt ceiling and the spending, and they're going all off of the congressional the budget office, but their numbers have always been wrong and always have been a lie. So now we have Johnson over here, where he goes, Johnson and his big beautiful bill, and the senators, they're trying to argue against why, and this is his reasons on the Charlie Kirk show.
Your proposal of 3 or 4 specific cuts structurally so that you can be satisfied and those of us that are fiscal hawks can also be satisfied while also getting this bill passed.
Focus on the areas of agreement, border defense, take the spending reductions the House has given us that they've agreed to, extend current tax law, take the automatic tax increase off the table. That was a blunder in the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. We should have scored that in current policy. We weren't smart enough to do that. Increase the debt ceiling for about a year. Keep the pressure on. I've got to convince President Trump that is to his advantage. So this has got to be at least a 2-part process. Fiscal year 2025 reconciliation process, do that now. Give me 3 things that'll solve the problem. 3 things won't. You've got to literally go through thousands of lines of budgets. You got to go through thousands of programs, do the forensic audit like DOGE did, and expose it. Get the American people on your side. Take the time to do the work, but also to win public support for what you're doing, rather than jam something through, not have a good response when the Democrats falsely attack it.
Right. So this is how they hold out and how they lie to you, the American people. All of a sudden, they have to go line by line by line, and this is basically a delay tactic from them. And Elon Musk is right. And see, the thing here is Trump and Musk are both right. Right? Trump is right that they have to make some concessions to get this bill through. And Elon is also right that DOGE has exposed all this waste, tax, and fraud. And so Congress needs to do their stinking job and put the DOGE cuts into place. So this is Donald Trump posting, scheduled, special government employees can come in and thank President Donald Trump. This is when he left as the leader of DOGE. And then remember how fake news, they tried to twist all this around. And now you have Musk who's posting on X about how he's mad. But understand, this is anger at Congress. If Congress is doing their job, if Congress is actually listening to DOGE and doing all these cuts that they're supposed to do, then none of this is happening. Elon Musk will be happening. This is not a Trump issue. This is a congressional issue. And my clock is beeping at me, really angry. When we come back, we have a lot more to cover, including we have JD Vance, who talks about a lot of things as Trump is doing about needing to bring manufacturing back to this country. He makes some great points. You're not going to miss that or anything else. We'll be right back after this greedy profit break. This is the Cash Loren Show. One thing we talk about all the time is how the Democrat and the uniparty rhinos are working hard to go against what you voted for. And during break, there's several things I usually do. One is I'll go back and I'll see the news stories. I'll check emails, comments, and that kind of stuff. And we have a couple up on X, which is our main platform that this show runs on, is that when comments are posted on the main actual the post, they don't come up here on StreamYard. But when if somebody clicks on the link and then goes into that comment section, those are the ones that come up on here. So while I was checking, I saw a couple, and I want to talk about these here real quick because they're directly related to what we're talking about. And then we're going to go into JD Vance and Karine Jean-Pierre's book and all the other things that are happening in this country. So we had one here. Let me see. Oh, and my screen's a little far away. I should have seen that in advance. Let me give me just a second, and I'll bring that up here. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so we have the first question here. It says that they will be voting on DOGE's cuts next week. And this is partially true. See, this is what really drives me nuts about the deep state and part of why Elon Musk is so frustrated with these people. Because initially they put none of it in. It wasn't until our pressure, and now last I saw it was only 9.4 billion when DOGE has found over 500 billion to cut plus. So this is a tiny, tiny percentage of what's happening. And then we have another one here, Mike Johnson, PO. He is Ryan Paul Ryan mini-me. Trump needs to dump him. And this is what I'm talking about. Yes, he is part of the uniparty that wants to put America on trial. Okay, Speaker Johnson wants to lose. You need no other evidence. Just look at what he tried to do with the CR bill. When they knew that Trump had been elected, they've been working to backstab the American people for over 6 months. He hid that details from Donald Trump when they got elected. It was only because of our outrage and Elon's Musk pushing that got the CR down to a very clean bill. And just like then and just like now, Mike Johnson, when he talks well in front of a camera, he's really trying to backstab you every single time. And in this last one, so I think it meant bit hyperbolic, but are you saying that they aren't making the cuts from DOGE exposing as waste? And yes, that's exactly what they're trying to do. Okay, do not doubt me for a single second on any of this. What the uniparty wants is they just want Trump gone. They're trying very hard to implement as very little as possible, and then what they do have to implement, they can just get rid of as soon as he's out of office. Yeah, I can't stress this enough to you. We don't have a true opposition party. We do have people in the government who are actually opposed to the uniparty, but there's not enough of them to make an actual opposition. This is why when you see like the Republicans, we have the president, we have the House, and we have the Senate. Now, what if this was reverse? And Nancy Pelosi had the House, and Chuck Schumer had the Senate, and then you have any Democrat in the president's office. Okay, how much do you think would be done right now? They'd be moving bill after bill after bill, everything they can get through, and then anything they couldn't get through, they'd be trying to bully, the 7 Republicans into going along their side, and Mitch McConnell would be helping them. This is the uniparty. This is why, like what they're doing now, why they're working so hard to try to slow this down as much as possible and not make it law. Because the thing about executive orders is they work while Trump is in office. But as soon as Trump is gone, those executive orders are gone. And even if they do all these cuts with DOGE through like executive orders and Trump's executive authority, and then some through like relaxation bills, okay, Congress and the next president can just bring it all back. What we need is laws. And that's ultimately why Congress is trying to stop. And that's why they keep going on vacation and they keep delaying bills. And then they keep saying, like Johnson said, well, we need to go line through line to line. We need to look and evaluate every single piece. This is them trying to backstab you as much as possible and to go forward with the same old uniparty. They want to lose. They want to play second fiddle. They want the Democrats to be in control of the federal government. And these rhinos, they want to sit in front of the TV and they want to say all the right things. And then they want to go on social media and post all the right posts. But when they go to Washington, D.C., they just want to sit there and they want to be part of the movers and they want to be part of the shakers, and they don't want to stir things up, right? They don't want to break any windows. And they don't want to fight. They don't want to be called a racist or a bigot or a homophobe or a transphobe or white nationalist. They don't want any of those things. All they really want is to just go there and be left alone and let the Democrats win over and over again and do what like Mike Johnson does, right? When he knows they can't win, he'll push through a bill. The Democrats say no. And he goes, oh, well, we tried. We fought, but we lost, knowing full well it wasn't going to happen. And then giving the Democrats everything they want. Right? Look at the last 2 years of Joe Biden's presidency. And what did Mike Johnson accomplish during any of that time? Now look in Trump's presidency. We're 5 months in now. And what have they accomplished now? Okay, this is intentional. They always slow walk when they don't want to do something, and then they push fast when they want to. This is your standard uniparty politics that you're witnessing right now. I mean, if you want to see the swamp, you want to see the deep state, you're never going to see it more than you are right now. Because when we have someone like Trump in office and we have Elon Musk and DOGE is going nowhere, as they continue to expose all this stuff and bring it out to the public, it's going to force them to show you who they really are. Like the Rand Pauls of the world, who pretend to be conservative, all of a sudden are showing you that they serve another master. Or the Thomas Macy's of the world, who pretend they're constitutionalists, but then they only do it when it doesn't matter. Right before Trump goes in, he breaks every single one of his rules to help the Democrats out. And then lies about it and says, well, there was going to be future cuts, as giving him as a scapegoat to backstab you, the American people. And then now that Trump is back in and now the Republicans have back office, Macy's right back to pretending he's some kind of warrior for the Constitution. Okay, he's another empty suit rhino. So is Rand Paul, and we have many others. We have the potential in 2026 to end the uniparty once and for all. And I really hope we do it, because they're trying hard to backstab us. Okay, they want to lose. They want the Democrats to take back the House. Do not doubt me for a single second on any of that. Okay, Mike Johnson doesn't want to be the leader. He wants Hakeem Jeffries, and then he wants to sit there on the other side and pretend that he's in opposition and talk in front of the cameras, but not actually have the authority or power to do anything. Welcome to the Washington, D.C. swamp. But Trump got in, he bringing in a lot of his own people, including like J.D. Vance. And how are your thoughts about J.D. Vance now? I think he's pleasantly surprised a lot of us. And he's not only saying the right things, he's also doing the right stuff along with Trump. He's got to be by far the front runner to be the next president in 2028. And he was speaking about our, let's see, where to go here? He was speaking at the American Compass Gate, and he was calling for their prior administration. He was calling them morons because of the supply chain. And without further delay, let's see why he was saying that to this past administration, and then what we had to pick up the pieces for afterward.
That is shocking about the prior government, about the government we inherited the White House from, is if I, on January the 21st, in fact, I did ask this question, where are the biggest deficiencies in our supply chains? What are the 100 products that we're completely reliant on some other entity to make for us? Where are they made, and how hard would it be to onshore that manufacturing? I asked that explicit question, and the answer was, we don't know. Is that you had these basic questions about the brittleness of our supply chains that were completely uninvestigated by the very people who supported globalizing those supply chains. We were actually governed by complete morons, and we didn't even realize it until the Trump administration started to get underneath the hood of our government.
I can't tell you just how right he is there. These people are literal morons. They've done nothing their entire life. They've accomplished absolutely nothing, but somehow they get in the top of government. Whether it be like the Biden's aides or whoever is actually running the White House, because we know it wasn't Joe Biden. But they got this Marxist belief system. And to understand the way these people think is that they think that the ends justify the means. Meaning their worldview is that America is evil and America is bad. America has blood on its hands. And so therefore, America must be brought down to its knees. Right, all the way back to the Barack Hussein Obama and all these people that want him or his style to come back and run our government. So they have the distinct view that America needs to be brought down to its knees and the rest of the world needs to be brought up. You can't have a strong America and have a strong world. So they don't want America to win. And when they understand that that is their viewpoint. So when they look at that viewpoint, they then work backwards from that viewpoint. Say, okay, for our viewpoint to win, that America needs to pay the price. What do we need to do to get there? Well, manufacturing is obviously a big issue. And so they start sending all of our manufacturing overseas, thus giving them two wins, weakening our private sector and also strengthening the federal government and giving it more and more power as it grows, gains more and more taxes, and then gains more and more regulations. As much as the Democrats talk about and lie about them being for the workers, every time they have power, what do? They raise taxes, either directly or through inflation by spending a bunch of money they don't have. And then they increase regulations. They use some kind of tragedy and say, okay, well, we, as being the Democrats, we are going to, make these rules that you have to follow. And of course, they don't work. They always fail, and they always end up taking away more of your rights. And this has led to a major national security issue. We saw this just recently when Donald Trump first started in with his tariffs. You remember back to what Canada did? When Canada threatened to shut off electricity to the East Coast as a retaliation for Trump's tariffs. You now imagine if we were completely dependent on a foreign government for electricity. And people would not last long. And what happens? They shut off all the stores or the hospitals, your personal residence. What kind of disadvantage does that put us on? If we're all of a sudden, we're supposed to be the world's superpower, and now we are subservient somehow to this weak, pathetic nation because we gave away our authority and our power. This is why Dig Baby Dig is so important. This is why Trump's tariffs are so important. This is why bringing all the manufacturing back to the United States is incredibly important. Okay, the jobs, the draining the government, that is all part of this, yes. But this is really a national security issue. Okay, what happens when we're completely dependent on communist China? And they just decide one day, if you don't do what we want, I mean, sure, you could talk tough in front of your cameras, but if you don't give us what we want, we'll stop sending ships. Or we'll send you less ships. Did you know, for example, over 50% of our critical medical supplies come from China? Okay, what happens if we shut that off? Now, is this something like, you remember with COVID, and we don't need to get into the whole hoax part of it, but let's say there is an actual pandemic, and all of a sudden China says, we need the supplies. So we're not going to send them to you. And now we don't have any supplies that we need. Or what about food? We can grow all the food here, but they send it all overseas to be packaged and then sent back here. And they decide, we're not sending it to you. We're going to sell it over here, or we're going to move it over there. So you see the huge national security issues here. You all with me on this? And this is one of the major battles that we have to win. This is why the deep state, this is why the federal government, this is why the fake news networks, this is why they're all working so hard to try to take away your rights and your voice. And so you won't know that they'll be lying to you this entire time, that tariffs do work. Why does every single country out there get to tariff us and keep our products out of their economies, but we can't have tariffs to keep their products out of our economy? Okay, why can't we use tariffs to bring manufacturing back here and make sure that products are made here? Not just for national security, which is a huge issue, but also to give good paying jobs that actually produce products that people use. I mean, we don't need 90% of the federal government. That's part of the hoax they're trying to lie to you about. And with that, my clock is blinking at me again. We come back, we're going to talk about Karine Jean-Pierre, her new fake book hoax, as the fake news and everybody else tries to lie about the Biden administration and throw all each other under the bus when she was really closest to Biden over anybody. You're not going to miss that or anything else. We'll be back after this greedy profit break. This is the Cash Loren Show. Biden administration left us with a very huge mess that Donald Trump has to come back in and fix. And one of the parts that they're trying to do now is they're trying to throw Joe Biden under the bus. Have you seen this newest one? This is his press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, who, like Tapper, is trying to profit off of them lying and hoaxing you every single day. She is coming out with this brand new book, as she is both stunning and brave. I mean, the most stunning and brave ever. I mean, remember her very first press conference when she was there, and she was there because she was a Black lesbian woman, the very first one to sit behind this podium. And that was just stunning and brave and amazing. she was the best ever because of her identity politics. But she's probably the worst press secretary that we've ever seen. I mean, she's certainly the worst of my lifetime. It was very hard to watch her behind that podium and just blatantly lie and not even being good at it. I mean, at least Psaki was a good liar. I mean, she would blatantly lie too, but she could spin, right? She could tie her shoes and chew gum and walk. I mean, I can at least give Psaki that credit. Karine Jean-Pierre could do none of those things. All she would do is she would just lie, and then she'd get mad if she ever got called out on any of it. It was kind of funny to watch Ducey humiliate her over and over and over again. But now that Biden, he was exposed in the debate with Trump, back to make my day, pal. And then Donald Trump made his day, pal. And all of a sudden, everybody realized that the fake news had been lying to them the entire time. As Karine Jean-Pierre sat up there over and over and over again. And then what does she call all the videos when they'd ever make the service about Joe Biden wandering around lost or looking dazed and confused? What was she called it? She called it something. Oh, yeah, she called them cheap fakes. All right, you weren't allowed to believe your lying eyes. All right, those were cheap fakes. And those were edited videos, obviously, to try to make Joe Biden look like he had dementia, or maybe that he was going through cancer treatments. I mean, all of a sudden, him going back to Delaware all over again makes a whole lot of the heck more sense. Because then they're thinking he's just going home every weekend, okay. But the one thing at his home is there's not a log like there is in the White House. Maybe there's something to that. What were they trying to hide? I don't know. Maybe leave that up to you and some others to find out. But that is a very logical reason why. And Jean-Pierre, as part of it, was lying all the time. And she stood up that podium and she was talking about Joe Biden, how the 80 was the brand new 40, and how robust he was. And he just kind of wonder, or he look at his things. He goes, okay, let me see. I got this pamphlet that you're not supposed to see, but I can't read it. So I'm going to hold up. And this says that I'm supposed to call on, who's this? This is you. So I'm supposed to call on CNN. And then I'm supposed to ask you, this question. And then, my answer is right here. So go ahead and ask me your question. I have to only ask questions and answer the ones that are on my pamphlet. Joe Biden in a nutshell. And once that got exposed to everybody, so this is their brand new hoax because they didn't learn anything and they haven't gone backwards on anything. All they've done different now is they've gone from one lie to the next because they've gone away for so long that they don't think they can get caught. And they still don't realize, even after the mainstream media, whether it be MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, other Times, Washington Post, Political Axios, all of them that are in the team for the Democrats, they are all in the bag for the DNC. Even though every single one of them knew and lied and covered up for years, rather than taking a step back going, hey, maybe if we want to be trusted again, the most trusted network in news, maybe we should actually be, honest. Maybe we should tell people the entire story. I almost can't get it out because of how blatantly they lie, and they still do it to this day. And so now the lie they're trying to all sell at the same time is that the White House, right, Joe Biden administration, that they lied to the fake news networks. And it's not fake news that lied to you. No. It was the Biden administration that covered it up. And they're still so arrogant that that's still not a win for them like they think it is. Because if you have Joe Biden, who is that gone, there's two possible answers for this. One, the most obvious answer is that fake news knew and was lying the entire time. The other answer is you believe them now that they didn't know, but then also they're the most incompetent journalists that the world has ever seen. I mean, we had people like us who had no inside information, right? We didn't get to go to the White House press room. We didn't get to see the behind the scenes, right? We didn't get aboard Air Force One. We weren't around Joe Biden. And we still had enough clips over and over and over again to show that something was wrong. I mean, I remember watching that debate, and when Joe Biden went and mumbled off about the border, and Donald Trump ended his presidency when he says, I have no idea what he said. I don't think he has any idea either. And then Joe Biden, just that moment ended him. But really what it did is it showed to the masses that the fake news had been lying and covering up for Joe Biden. Because when I saw that moment, what crossed my mind is this isn't even that bad. I could put 20 clips of my videos right now that are way worse than what he's doing at the debate stage. And immediately after, what it all the fake news did is they all of a sudden realized, oh crap, everybody realizes that we've been lying this whole time. And that goes forward to now with like Tapper's book blaming the White House. And now Karine Jean-Pierre is also trying to profit off that same hoax with her book. And it's even worse than Tapper's, because at least Tapper, worked for like CNN. He worked for the fake news networks. But Karine Jean-Pierre was Joe Biden's press secretary. I mean, she was in the meetings. She was in the press. When they stand in front of the podium and they talk to the press and they answer questions, that's only 10% of their job. Yeah, she was around Joe Biden every single day. And now she's trying to pretend that she didn't know that he was gone. How can anyone believe that? In fact, it's so bad that even with all of her identity politics, right, even with all her very safe check boxes on the left of being a black, gay, lesbian, immigrant woman, it turns out that what she really wanted was to be on The View. She wanted a slot on The View to sit there with them. And The View has not offered her position, even with all of her identity check boxes that are both stunning and brave. That's not a cheap fake. Because even for fake news that are still blatantly lying to you, Karine Jean-Pierre is too close to Biden. And if they put her up there, they're essentially putting Biden's face up there. And even fake news in their own elitist bubble, they actually understand how bad this is for them. Unlike Psaki, who we covered about earlier, at least Psaki can lie. And even with Psaki, as she can spin and she can lie and she can tie her own shoes, right? And she can chew gum at the same time. Give her that credit. She's a blatant liar over and over and over again. But at least she can do that. And even with that, her shows are going down, tanking, because people are sick of fake news lying to them. And now you have Karine Jean-Pierre who thinks she's going to go on fake news as the face of the Biden administration and then lie to you every day. What do you think would happen to any show that puts her on? I think it's just incredibly obvious, right? Fake news is done because they lied no matter what they did. They they try to blame the Democrats for the betrayal, but fake news is in the bag for them. Do any of you believe that fake news didn't know that Joe Biden was on the decline? Do any of you believe that they couldn't put it out there? That if people like me could find the clips? I mean, what could have fake news done? But you see, they hated Donald Trump. They had their Marxist equity lens that they had to come to the right conclusion, meaning that the Democrats are good and Donald Trump is bad. And so because they believed all that, they then went backwards from the Democrats have to win, and then anything is justified to get to that goal, including lying to you, the American voters. And the biggest mistake they made in all of that is they didn't think that Trump would ever win because they believed their own BS. See, this is what happens. This is the curse of the elite bubble, is that they only talk to each other. So when they only talk to each other, they have a very distorted reality. There's a couple hundred of them. And so they say, I hate Trump. And they look over there and say, I hate Trump. Trump is bad. Yeah, Trump is bad. Trump is hurting our economy. Yeah, Trump is hurting our economy. And they only talk to each other. And so when they get 100% agreement and they never have to defend any of the positions, they don't realize that 80 million or more of you don't agree with them. Because the minute anybody tried to speak up, what do they instantly do? They instantly try to shut them down, call them a racist or bigot or homophobe or transphobe, a white nationalist, an extreme MAGA Republican. And again, they don't believe any of that. What they believe in is they just want you to shut up. When they call you a racist, when they call you a bigot, they don't care if you are. It just means you're saying something I don't like, so shut up. Silence, you pleb. The liberal elite are talking. That's fake news for you. Learn nothing. Keep it up, please. That is ended fake news networks. They're doing a very slow spiral death. They have none of their influence left. If they had any influence left, Donald Trump would not be the president right now. That it would be somebody else. The Republicans would not control the House and would not control the Senate. The fake Democrats, with like Kamala Harris, they've relied on fake news for get them through over the goal for such a long time that they didn't realize how bad it was. And fake news is so used to being tied to the intelligence agencies and be able to lie to you all the time and having no competition. See, that's the key. That's why that our way of life works so well. This is how we built the greatest nation this world has ever known. It's through competition. It's through capitalism. Because before, you had no choice. Right? The only way to get information out to the masses was through the fake news networks. And while even many of you knew they were lying, most didn't know how much they were lying to you. But now that it's been opened up, and people like here on the Cash Loren show, we can get a camera, we can get a microphone, and we can put our content out to hundreds of millions of people and grow from zero and have huge amounts of influence. Right, where you have like the Sean Ryans of the world, you have the Benny Johnsons, right? You don't have to come from like the Tucker Carlsons. Right? You can build from nothing now because people instinctively are independent thinkers and they do want the truth and honest, authentic opinions. This is something that's escaped fake news because they've gotten away with it for so long. I hear everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it, but I'm me, and this is how I feel. And this show is about sharing these stories with you. And I will always do my best to share the entire story. And to say that I'm completely neutral would be, of course, a lie. For anybody, if anybody says that to you, they are blatantly lying. There is nobody that is an absolute zero on the scale. But I'm certainly not so far right that I'll go with anything that the Republican Party says, as we talk about the rhinos and the uniparties and the Speaker Johnsons of the world all the time. And even someone that I strongly support, like Donald Trump, if he does something that I don't agree with, I will talk to you about it. Because this show will always be about informing and entertaining you. And do my best as a communicator to share all this information with you. If you're enjoying it, take a moment, hit the follow, turn on notifications, and most importantly, repost and help share and help us spread an American First message. Get us out and away from these fake news networks who blatantly and openly lie to American voters every single day. Because these cover-ups that they continue to double down only hurt them more. Karine Jean-Pierre trying to write a book pretending that she wasn't right there with Biden the entire time is laughable at best, but absolutely disgusting. That she would look right at you and she'd try to pretend that you're the problem for noticing. And that there's somehow the White House that she was a part of lied to her, just like Tapper with his book. Okay, that is the newest hoax from the fake news. Is him trying to blame the White House aides. Lying to the fake news networks. So it wasn't the fake news networks lying to you for decades, and especially over the last 4 years. No, they weren't covering up Joe Biden's mental decline, right? They weren't hiding the cancer or the possible dementia. No, not fake news. They weren't in the bag for the Democrats. They are, I'm going to try to say this. We can do this together. They are, okay. They are independent journalists. I don't know how do they look at themselves at night? I mean, how do they look at themselves in the mirror? Really? And say that stuff to you? Do these people not have 1 ounce of integrity? They deserve to die the slow death they're dying. And with that, we're out of time. The rest of these stories are going to go back in the stack. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the Cash Loren Show, and God bless the USA. Greetings, independent thinkers. We have come to a top of another hour. If you're enjoying this content, please make sure you have subscribed, turn on notifications, but most importantly, share an American First message with your friends and family so we can help fight back against the Democrats and their propagandas over at the fake news networks. Also, take a moment to consider subscribing to us on Locals at the Cash Loren Show, where for a very small amount of money every month, you'll get many additional perks, including your name at the end of videos, like it'll be up the screen here in just a moment, a follow and increased engagement and exclusive lists on that I use on X. That sounds interesting to you. Go over to locals.com at the Cash Loren Show, hit the subscribe button for about a cup of coffee a month, and help us stay independent and free of the fake news networks and bring you the truth every single day, just like these fine patriots have. At the end of the video, will be on your screen here in just a moment.